Another Brick fan here with a look at a collectible minifigure series. This is Series 23. This is set 71034. It was released in September 2022. It has a total of 101 pieces, 12 minifigures. Each comes in its own blind bag that cost $5 each. So if you get all 12 of them on your first try, it's going to cost you $60 for this set. This series is dominated by costumed characters. So you see people like the reindeer here, the werewolf, the dragon, knight. Here's our yacht captain, a turkey, a cardboard robot, and a popcorn guy. And in fact, this snowman is a costume as well. We'll show you that here in a few minutes. And then there's a couple of, some holiday themed ones. So you got the Thanksgiving turkey back there. You have the Nutcracker, the Sugar Fairy, the elf, all what I would say would be winter type themes, as well as the reindeer and snowman. So those first four there in the front are pretty much holiday themed costumes, and then the turkey there in the back. Some of my favorites in this set, I really like the dragon and the knight. I think are both really nice. The werewolf is a good costume as well. And then I do like this Nutcracker, and I like the way they did the snowman here. Although I don't think there's a bad figure in this series. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at each of these figures. Here are our first two of Collectible Minifigures Series 23. Here is the Nutcracker. And as you can see, he's a kind of a toy soldier here. So he has a cutlass as one of his accessories, and then he has this little nut, and of course he has this nut, which is a 1x1 rounded tile that is printed nicely. And we also have the Sugar Fairy, and as you can see, she has a candy cane here, which is a nice piece, and then she's got wings, a crown, and the skirt here. So our Nutcracker also has these shoulder pads and this large hat. So the top hat, or the hat that he's wearing, is actually dual molded with the white hair here, and a good red coat uniform with white pants and black boots. So those legs are also dual molded. If you notice on the very front of our Sugar Fairy, she does have some sprinkles on her toes there, and then the dress, you can maybe just barely see those silver dots inside of the pink dress. No side printing, but you get a better look at those shoulder pads there on the Nutcracker. And then here is the back, fairly plain for both of them. And as you can see, the fairy does have just some minor printing here on her back. And then the fairy's wings here, as you can see, also have some of those silver printing. It's kind of a series of dots in these patterns here. Both of these figures have alternate expressions, so there's not quite as large a smile there on the fairy. And then similarly with the Nutcracker, is just kind of a plain expression. And here they are with their smiling faces. Next up, we have a snowman and a reindeer. The snowman has this broom accessory, as well as a top hat and as well as the scarf accessory. As it turns out, this is a costume. So if you pull that off, you see that the headpiece here has a spot for the nose, and then the top hat, of course. But there is a minifigure underneath that. So this is a white minifigure head with a printed face on it. So he's like wearing a white stocking cap. So it's not actually a snowman, it's a snowman costume, which I thought was pretty cool. Carrot's, of course, a nice touch, but this is definitely a three-piece. So they got the helmet, you got the snowman head here, the carrot is attached, and the top hat is also a separate piece. Looking at the reindeer costume, you see that she has the antlers that are separate than the reindeer head. Comes with this heart-shaped, I would say, gingerbread cookie, just because of the kind of the decoration on it. Looks a little bit like frosting to me, and then the color. The reindeer also comes with this Christmas gift. So you see it's a nice blue box with a ribbon and some sparkles on top, and that of course opens up. So you could put that gingerbread cookie or that heart inside of it if you wish. So two nice little accessories come with our reindeer. So moving around, like I said, these are both costumes. So just on the outside, fairly plain. We do have a little bit of a red collar around the reindeer costume and then the little cottontail. There is no alternate expression on our snowman, but the reindeer costume girl here has a very big smile here, a large grin with her eyes closed. Next up we have a holiday elf here, and then a cardboard costume robot or cardboard robot. So once again another costume. The elf comes with this nice hat, these good locks here. She does have this snow globe. So it's just one of these clear pieces here. It does have some printing on the top, some white spots there, and inside there is a little 1x1 that's got the printing for the door and the windows, and then a peak piece there, or a cone type piece. So that makes for a little snow globe effect. Our robot here has a little printed tile with also a screen on it, it looks like, as well as some scissors here. You can see the elf has this green outfit, some little shoe printing down here on the bottom, a little white stripe there, as well as a belt and a bow here. The robot has a lot of detail printing. The legs are dual molded with the orange and the light blue, and the arms are done similarly with the orange and the light blue. Nice big headpiece here that goes over the minifigure head. Lots of different printing and detailing on that. The robot does have some interesting printing on the side, so it's an on-off switch here on the left arm of the robot. The back is extremely plain, but you see that there is an alternate expression for our robot and an alternate expression here on our elf with some nice little freckles in there. There is also a silver printing here, kind of as a continuation of the belt on the robot, maybe. And then you see on this other side, it looks like the robot's wearing some duct tape on the arm, maybe to keep the cardboard costume in place. So there is our holiday elf and cardboard robot. Next up, we have the popcorn costume here with the popcorn and the popcorn box here, and then all the popcorn on top. The red legs and white torso. These are the mid legs. In other words, they are one stud, which are one stud shorter than the standard legs like we see here on the wolf costume. The wolf here is carrying one of these bags. I usually associate these with a Santa bag, but these bags have been around for a while, used in lots of city sets. Nice printing here on the wolf head. Fits nicely over the minifigure head there. Moving to the sides, there is no side printing, but you see this good printing of the overalls on the wolf costume, and then the tail. This could be set up or down, just depends on what you want to do. The legs, as I mentioned, are dual molded here on the wolf. This whole costume, this whole popcorn piece comes off. No printing underneath that, but then you see the alternate expression here for both of these figures. It looks like this one has kind of expression like it's blowing, so that must be the big bad wolf trying to blow down the pig's house there. So you see that blowing expression. Next up, we have the turkey costume and a ferry captain. So the turkey costume has this nice kind of almost a helmet here that has the red turkey with the blue eyes and the beak here. Nice that the arms are actually done as more wings here. Kind of the dual molding there on the bottom. For the feet, the turkey comes with a pumpkin piece. So here's a pumpkin that comes with that turkey. The ferry captain here has this nice captain's hat here. The ferry is a very large costume that goes over the captain, kind of connects in the middle. So let me get that off so you can see it better. Here's the holes for the legs, so it goes right on top of the legs and the torso goes down in there. You got the portholes on the side. So here's the back with the rudder, and then the front is kind of sloped like you would see on... This doesn't look like a ferry to me. A ferry has normally got a spot on the front and then it's flat in the back to put on, you know, cars and things to ferry across or to put other materials to ferry. This looks more like a little steamship or something like that. But regardless, his name is the Ferry Captain. So looking at the Ferry Captain, we see that he does have a nice uniform with the buttons here in the middle, a little white beard there, nice cap. I think the cap turned out really nicely. Turning to the side here, you do see some printing on the end of the sleeve of the Ferry Captain. And then the back is very plain for this figure. Now the turkey does have this big tail. Almost looks like a peacock tail to me, but it's a big feathered tail for the turkey costume, and then the dual molded legs here as well. As you see, when we remove the tail, you can see some printing indicating some feathers and that red ruffle around the top of our turkey. And there is a grouchy or angry face there for the turkey, and of course the captain has no alternate expression since he's wearing this hat that wouldn't cover it up. Once again, that same printing on the sleeve of around the cuff of the Ferry Captain. Here are our last two minifigures from this series, and we have the Knight of the Yellow Castle here with a pink feather in her helmet. So you have this nice shield piece. So this is the kind of the classic castle logo. She has a sword, probably a broadsword. And you notice that her armor is also printed with that same castle logo. And what would a knight be without her horse? So here is a horse. So this is just a play on those stick horses that have been around for a while. Kind of a cool little piece. If you look under, you see it is a girl's face here underneath there, and then our dragon costume is also a girl. You see the nice dragon scales here, some different printing to indicate scales. I really do like the head, the dragon head here. So the eyes are up here on the sides. You got the good teeth and the open mouth. It'd be kind of cool if that would articulate, but it doesn't. It's all one solid piece. But you see it does have some holes back here so you can insert these tooth pieces. The printing of the more scales on the sleeve here with the blue arms for our knight. And then looking around to the back, you see this really nice detailed tail with all the spikes on that tail. The back here is pretty plain for the dragon girl. You see we do have a more smiling face for our knight. And the dragon girl also has an alternate expression where she looks maybe like, some really furrowed brows there. Maybe she's yelling or something. So that is how that would look. Once again, a little scale printing here on the sides. So there is a closer look at all 12 of the minifigures from this series. Let's go back and I'll give you my final thoughts on this minifigure series. As a quick wrap up, I do think this minifigure series is very good. It's pretty consistent with what they do for all of the other series of minifigures. They're kind of city-based or have kind of a regular person in a costume. And then there's usually some fantastic creatures. So, things like this elf here, the holiday elf and the sugar fairy. So they're very consistent with these, which I thought turned out very nicely. I still wish that these series would stick with 16 characters as opposed to 12. I just liked having a few extra characters, but it seems like they're going to be sticking with the 12 characters from now on. Except for maybe some of the movie-themed ones, like I know Lego Batman had 20, Lego Harry Potter had 22 in one of its series. But other than that, I think they're going to stick right with the 12 minifigures. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this minifigure series. I'm going to get started on my next video. And until then, Happy building! If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to see more of my LEGO reviews. I've left a link to my collectible minifigure review playlist up here on the screen.